Do you think the madrasas enjoy absolute freedom? How, and define and explain your answer.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that the madrasas and other religious places of instruction, they certainly enjoy full freedom because when it comes to religion, nobody really wants to talk about it or deal with it. And the role of the state is very important. The role of regulatory bodies such as Wafakul Madaris, which is a central body meant to oversee madrasa operations, don't actually do much. And part of it has to do with the fact that, since 1980s, these madrasas have grown in number exponentially, and they are very useful. I mean, they have been useful for the Pakistani governments, various governments from 1980s onwards, to create cadres of mujahideen who were first fighting in Afghanistan to expel the Soviet forces, and lots of money was coming in from Saudi Arabia and America, and the state looked the other way. It let them expand and create more graduates for the foreign policy purposes. Later on, when the Afghan Jihad was over, the Soviets left Afghanistan. Many of these madrasa graduates and these madrasas started creating foot soldiers for jihad in Indian occupied Kashmir. So some of those groups still exist in the country. And later on, we found out that, a few had reached Bosnia, a few had reached Chechnya, a few had, there are reports that a few hundred have also gone into Syria, either to join the Islamic State, and on the other spectrum, on the Shia side, to fight the Islamic State. And this idea of transnational jihad, therefore, is a dangerous one, because any nation state, and Pakistan is a territorial nation state, has to guard against these tendencies and not. I would say not snatch freedoms, but create a regulatory environment where the curricula of these madrasas, the teachers of these madrasas, the funding of these madrasas are actually registered and under the or take place under the supervision of the state. The state cannot abdicate its role. If it regulates the textbook curricula in the state schools, it is, its education departments in all provinces look after the schools, then it must also have the same attitude towards madrasas.
What do you think are the challenges in bringing the reforms in the madrasa education in Pakistan?
The challenges, I think, I mean, there are plenty of challenges. I think the first basic challenge is nobody really knows how many madrasas are there in Pakistan. Somebody says there are 22,000. Some figure says 30,000. Other analysts have said if you add up all various madrasas of the sects, the number could be 40,000 or above. So obviously, the first challenge is to have adequate data. We don't know what's happening on the ground, and then not all madrasas are fully religious, but also, some secular schools have, created hybrid madrasas in the private sector. And so we have to first get adequate information to know what is happening. I think that's the first key challenge. The second challenge, which I already hinted at, is the issue of regulation, to create an environment and a framework in which the funding to these madrasas, who teaches there, who's qualified to teach, what is taught there, what do these graduates do, where are they located, needs to be regulated. And we are not saying by saying that close them down or crack down on them. But the majority needs regulation. They need to be updated. In the 21st century, you can't create a pool of young minds that believe that modernity and modern innovation, science, technology are all haram, and they are sticking to some romantic prehistoric ideas that they want to then implement through force or through violence or through other means. So that is the second challenge. I think that the third challenge would be that the small number, which has proven links with the terrorist networks, with militant, organizations, what to do with them. Obviously, because we must not forget that a lot of these madrasas cater to the very low income, portion of our society, and the poor families send their children because the madrasas feed them, clothe them, give them education, and give them a prospect in life, where after graduation they can look for a job either as a religious teacher, a madrasa teacher, or a mosque imam, or whatever. So we have to see what to do with those seminaries. I mean, obviously, you can't shut them all down. So you have to find ways of dealing with that. I think all of that needs a strategy. And so the problem is that for the last 2 years, we have been hearing from the National Action Plan and the government that they want to do something. And it has been going on since early 2000s when General Musharraf was in power. From 2003 onwards, he started doing a madrasa reform and regulation program. It went nowhere because everybody is either scared to touch them or they're too useful for the state, or they are afraid of the backlash. So a strategy has to be made as to how to tackle this, because we can no longer ignore it. A lot of terror attacks, terrorist groups, and terrorist networks are somehow linked to a minority of madrasas, and that's a fact. Facts prove it.
What do you think is the quality of education in the Madaris?
The quality of education, unfortunately, is below par, and there should be no two ways of explaining that, because majority of these madrasas are organized around sectarian loyalties and affiliations. So you have a Shia madrasa, you have a Sunni madrasa, within Sunni you have a Barelvi madrasa, Deobandi madrasa, Ahle Hadith madrasa, and a lot of them promote a particular sectarian point of view, and they consider the other rival sect or the sect which they don't agree as not true Islam, and therefore, once it's not true Islam, then it could be kafir, it could be or infidel, or it could be wajibul qatl, fit for murder, or it could be irrelevant. So the first thing is that you need to look at the fact that Islam and Islamic tradition is very plural, very diverse, and it is inclusive. And that's a reality of people of Pakistan. In the same lane, different sectarian affiliated families live. Shias live with Sunnis, they go to same school, they go to same organizations. They don't fight. They don't think of each others as non-Muslims or as people who should be excluded. So these madrasas have unfortunately become a vehicle of power, how to seek power in the name of sectarian affiliation. So the quality is mired in these issues. Some of the things they teach, for example, they teach reading and writing of Arabic, which is good. Reading and writing of Urdu, a good number of texts are taught, which is also good. Tafsir of Holy Quran, etc. Which is important. But at the same time, is it enough without gaining a practical understanding of the world? And personally think I'm totally in favor of what our great reformist scholar Ghamidi says, who unfortunately is not in Pakistan, is in Malaysia, and he says that basically from class 1 to 12 we should have regular education where English, science, maths, Urdu, everything is taught to kids, and once they complete 12th grade, then those who want to specialize in religion should go into a madrasa, and a madrasa should cater to those who are already literate and already schooled in certain sciences, and then they can go and explore further. So whatever I have seen through my interaction with madrasa students, by looking at their curricula, by looking at their literature, I personally feel that the quality is unfortunately very, very below average.
Last question. Do you think these madrasas prepare individuals who can find work and live easily and make a living?
The madrasas, produce thousands of graduates every year, and the problem is that these graduates do not have adequate skills to find, jobs in the real job market. So, for example, at best, they could be an Arabic teacher, and I don't know how many schools actually teach Arabic. I think under Channel Zaulak, we made Arabic as a compulsory subject, but no longer it is the case. So the biggest venue for them is in the private sector, where they teach kids, how to read the Holy Quran, and they go and set up their own madrasa. So that's how the proliferation also takes place, or they go and work as an administrator in other groups. The second kind of job that they get is to become an imam or an associate imam or an assistant imam in a mosque, which have also grown and which are also a need of this society. Mosque is also a community place, so that's a second kind of job. The third kind of job, which sadly has also become very alarming, is when they join a militant group or a jihadist group, either as a fighter or as a supporter or as an administrator or in some other position. So the prospects for getting a job are very limited and only limited to these sectors, and therefore it is in the interest of these graduates and the madrasas to create more madrasas, to spread the further network, because you have to accommodate these people. Now, to the contrary, some of them do go out and learn IT skills and become computer programmers or go on to higher education in other subjects, and so they're more likely to get jobs. So that is why, if we actually use this 40,000 seminaries as a potential pool to give vocational training skills, where a madrasa graduate also has IT skills or computer programming skills or some technical skills like mechanical know-how or electric, or work as an electrician, then perhaps they have a better chance of being more integrated into the society and not limited or boxed into the religious sector. So I think that is what our state needs to really now ponder and think, as Zarbea's National Action Program is being implemented, that we can go and bomb many terrorist hideouts and kill thousands of them, but these seminaries are going to produce more and more people wedded to the idea of a global caliphate, wedded to the idea of Muslim supremacy. And you have to deal with them and you have to rationalize their thoughts and, tell them that the real world is very complex and Pakistan is a nation state, a signatory of international agreements, where it can't really go and violate other countries' sovereignty to implement a global caliphate agenda. It's simply not possible. So we need to really ponder about these issues and find good way of integrating these graduates into the society.